Welcome to The Spotlight, the podcast where veterans and military spouses connect and share how their military experience has transformed their lives and their businesses. Here's your host, Bob Louthan.
Hey, this is your host, Bob Louthan, founder of the VeteranCrowd Network, the network that brings veterans and veteran-led businesses together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. And you are tuning into The Spotlight.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is Bob Louthan, host of The Spotlight on the VeteranCrowd Network. We've got a friend of mine on the program today. Jason Williscroft is the founder of Tribify. He's also the lead knuckle dragger at RINGKNOCKER. He's a U.S. Naval Academy grad, enlisted in the Marines, but went to the Naval Academy and then became a surface warfare officer. He's a technologist, a little bit of a geek, I would say, in terms of the technology stuff. And interestingly enough, he made a trip to Bali right before the pandemic started and has used that as an excuse not to come back. Jason, welcome to the program. Thanks for stepping into the spotlight.
Thanks, Bob. It's nice to be here.
You know, we've become friends over the last year or so through the RINGKNOCKER group. And, but tell everybody, what is RINGKNOCKER?
Well, I mean, we all know what a ring knocker is, right? It's one of those guys who, graduated from the academy and can't stop knocking his ring against something. But I don't know. It's a tongue-in-cheek name for it's a tongue-in-cheek name, right? I mean, we welcome current and former military officers from all walks of service. The joke is the enemy doesn't care where you went to college, so why should we? Right. No, I mean, way back, right about the time that COVID started, I had a buddy sent me a young fellow who wanted to get into, he was getting out of the Navy and he wanted to get into data, which is kind of my neck of the woods. And so he asked me to, have a call with him. And it was just kind of cool mentoring call, right? I hadn't really done much of that and I wanted to do some more of it. So I started up this Facebook group to invite my Naval Academy classmates to try it out. And it got this huge response, like over the first couple of weeks. I don't think we ever got more than 2 prospective mentees, but we got like 100 volunteer mentors, right? Mm. And so it was just this wake-up call, like, wow, you knuckle draggers really want to help your shipmates, Mm-hmm. So after COVID started, everybody was locked up at home. And so we decided to just try a Zoom call out and it worked, so I jumped off the deep end and scheduled 20 weekly calls and just kind of decided to see what happened, so we just started inviting guest speakers and keeping track of who showed up and inviting more people like them and building systems around it. And I mean, let's see, the last meetup I think was number 67. And that's almost in a row. I mean, I think we're off right now. We're taking a 2-week break, but we've only taken one of those before. It's just been week in, week out for the last year and a half.
I got invited by our colleague, Chris Bugg, to join, and you got the hooks into me. I've got to build a bigger VMI cohort. We're going to work on that.
Yeah, we need more of you guys.
We need more of the VMI people to join. But it happens on Thursday evenings, and the guest speakers are interesting. How do you find the topics? I mean, what have you sourced all of this stuff?
I don't find the topics. I find the people, right? I mean, we have, a lot of people come through our doors. We've had probably 1,000 individuals visit us at some point or another over the last year and a half. And, they all do intros, right? So, I'll hear a great story and I'll just contact them afterwards. Hey, you want to come tell us more about that?
Share your story in more detail.
That's where most of them come from, to be honest. I mean, I've had a couple come from the outside and more we do get some referrals. I had some guy, the Naval Academy class of 92 is famous for stealing a bunch of Army mules. And so I had this joker get in touch with me and tell me that somebody had actually accomplished that feat prior to Navy doing it in 1991. So that guy came on and told the story.
Yeah, actually, we
Who was that anyway?
actually got some of the folks that were actually, on the ground.
Oh, that was you. That's right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
funny small world. But yeah, that's a great story that is out there. And I found the Naval Academy caper to be a little bit more extreme because you managed to get all of them and
True.
return
Well, it was
them.
actually organized. I mean, based on your story, you guys kind of winged it.
Yeah, ours was a very hastily planned assault. So let's put it that way. But it was successful nonetheless. I think it was bold, and that's what made it work.
Bold. You are the source of my favorite of all the quotes that have come out of Ring Knocker. You guys are the source of my favorite one. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Meals like candy, but you shouldn't feed them too much of it.
That's right. Yeah, this sort of affects their intestinal tract the same way stuff goes through a goose. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, well, we digress. So, you started this, you've done 60, what'd you say, 67?
67 so
67
far.
67 episodes,
Yeah.
One a week, Thursday nights. Where is it going? What's kind of the theory behind this? As we've done this podcast, it's certainly evolved. What you envisioned when you did at the beginning is certainly not the vision for it today as it's grown.
Well, I mean, let's roll back to the beginning, right? That our first meetup was the 26th of March of 2000, right? So COVID had just come down, like within the previous week and a half, the entire world had gone into lockdown and people were freaking out, right? And we were sitting over on Bali.
Were you literally on vacation in Bali? I mean, how long had you planned to stay there before the pandemic?
No, I mean, we came the previous December. Bali is known as kind of a nexus for digital nomads. People with a laptop and a dream, right? It's inexpensive to live here. I mean, 3-bedroom villa with a pool guy and a couple of cleaning a couple of times a week. It runs about $800 a month, right? So
I'm moving.
Right. I know, right? So so you can afford to live nicely while you're trying some stuff out. So we came out here to I was kind of done with my career. I'd had enough. And I wanted to build something new. And so we came out here to plan to spend 3 months to figure out kind of what was going to be next. And we had just hit the 3-month point, right? And had, we're actually, COVID came down as we were flying to Malaysia to renew our visas and coming back. We just made it under the wire, big drama. But, we just decided to stay another 3 months because it seemed to be working and kind of figuring things out. So everybody was surprised, right? I mean, nobody knew what was going to happen. And I don't know. It just made sense. It made sense that you'd want to touch base with some shipmates and just connect, in a mess like that. And so we did. And then it worked. So we did it again. And I was very much operating by touch, to be perfectly honest. Like as the weeks went by, we had a couple under a couple done and then 10 of them and then 15. And it seemed like we were kind of vectoring into a mission. I mean, at the end of it, it all really just came down to figuring out how to support one another. And I mean, I have this spiel, like this intro that I do every week, and we support our shipmates, and that's our mission. And for those of you who are in uniform, we support you with advice and mentorship. And for those of us who've hung it up, we support you with opportunities. And that's what we do. So really, the goal has been all along just to figure out how do we best support one another in our endeavors. That means showing up and telling stories and offering opportunities and describing what it is that you're looking for, and and how do we scrum around whatever it is and make it happen. It's not like anybody else is going to do it for us.
So you've created Tribify, tribe meaning the reference to the military tribe. Is Tribify do more than Ring Knocker?
Yeah. So here's the challenge I had, right? When we started up Ring Knocker, we had to find people. I mean, sort of my primary point of reference for all this is LinkedIn, right? There's 750 million people on LinkedIn, and we got a bunch of military people and whatnot. So the question is, you can only send so many invitations and whatnot. So who do you reach out to? Like, who do you ask to come? If the goal was for us to be able to support one another, then we had to be able to invite people who were compatible, who were engaged in compatible things, and who had connections, pre-existing connections. I wanted to invite people where when they showed up, I wanted people to have that experience. Holy cow, Bob, I haven't seen you. You were my old CO, or my old department head, or what. That's what I wanted to see, right? So I'm a data guy, right? And so what I realized was that if you know what to do with the data that you can pull from LinkedIn, you can create those situations, right? You can find the people who are connected, not just connected on LinkedIn, but really connected. Like, they went to the Naval Academy together, went to law school together. They went to, they worked at the same startup together, that kind of thing, right? So as Ring Knocker grew, really from like literally week 3, right? As Ring Knocker grew, I was working on this system that whose purpose was to help me manage it and also help me figure out who to bring in. They just grew side by side. And so about a year in, we had begun to take on sponsors, which VeteranCrowd is
chosen to be a sponsor.
Yeah. Well, so the deal with the sponsors was, our sponsors are also looking for people, right? They're looking for customers or employees or business partners or what have you. And so, we'd created this machine that helped us find a certain kind of people. So we let our sponsors tell us what kind of people we want to find, right? And those are so they're contributing to our targeting. They're helping us understand who to bring in. So at some point, kind of turned around and looked at this thing that we built, and I'm like, oh, that looks like a product.
Right. In layman's terms, you make it easier to search out people on LinkedIn, for example, that we're going to have some common ground with, and it helps us sort through and find valuable connections.
Yeah, well, look, you can go out and hire a marketing agency, right? And there's a certain kind of marketing, relationship marketing, right? It's very, small groups of targets. You spend a lot of time on each one. It's relationship marketing and relationship sales, right? So Tribify is basically a relationship marketing agency in a box, right? Okay. Because everything those guys do, only better.
Honor, duty, service. At the VeteranCrowd Network, we're focused on our next mission, bringing veterans, veteran-operated businesses, and veteran service organizations together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. That's why we are launching the VeteranCrowd Rewards Program, exclusively for our individual and corporate members. Now you can save on travel, restaurants, goods, and services from brands you trust online and at over 900,000 locations nationwide. Find out more today at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. If you are a veteran-operated business, or a VSO, consider the connections, the network, the benefits, the engagement, and success of working with other veterans again. The VeteranCrowd Network, you paid a lot of dues to join this club.
Hey, our guest is Jason Williscroft. He is the founder and CEO of Tribify and the leader of the RINGKNOCKER.net. Hey, Jason, I want to go back and shift gears on you a little bit and just explore your military history a little bit.
Oh boy.
You enlisted into the Marine Corps, then went to the Naval Academy. Walk us through that part of your life.
Yeah. So I went to boot camp the day after my 19th birthday, down in San Diego. I'd been living up in Seattle. And I dropped out of college. I went to the School of Mines in Colorado for a semester, majored in skiing. I'm
glad you didn't waste the semester. I mean, it was good.
Yeah. It didn't go well. So, so I joined the Marine Corps, right? And
I got to ask the question, your father, Robert Williscroft, did he have any thing to do with that decision? Did he steer you in that direction? No. Okay.
No, actually that's, I had a bit of a rebellious period there. I was rather embarrassed at, the mess I'd made of my only semester at the School of Mines.
Right.
Kind of dropped off the map for a little while. When I resurfaced, after having really just gone dark for a couple of months, I remember I called up my dad and I introduced myself as Private Williscroft, U.S. Marine Corps, and so no, it came as a complete shock to him and almost certainly a welcome relief, because I'm sure he thought I was headed for
our listeners
trouble.
Will recall that Robert Williscroft has been a guest. He's an interesting guy in his own right. But we'll put a link back to that episode in the show notes for this discussion. But continue. All right. So you go into the Marine Corps.
Yeah, I went into Marine Corps. I went open contract. I don't know if you know what that means. Basically, it means that when you enlist, the Marine Corps gets to decide what you're going to do. I didn't have any any guaranteed anything, so they made me a field wireman in an artillery battery. The guys who climb the telephone poles, and my main job was to string communications networks between the guns of an artillery battery. So I did that for a couple of years, and then. This story of my life. So we were sitting down in the wire shop one day, cleaning the gear after having spent a week in the field. And I mean, what do? I'm talking smack about my platoon commander, right? And it was just this classic moment where he was a Naval Academy graduate, so butterbar this and whatnot, and just talking smack, right? And everybody goes quiet. I'm like, he's right behind me, isn't he? And sure enough, he was right next to my platoon sergeant, And so my punishment was I had to go find out how to apply for the Naval Academy.
Right.
So that's how I wound up applying, and I got real lucky because I was with the 1st Marine Expeditionary Brigade out of Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii, which is a nice place to be stationed.
Yeah.
And the brigade commander there had a very small quota for the for Naval Academy nominations, and nobody knew about it. So I think I was the only guy who actually went and dug out the Marine Corps order and made the application. So that worked out in my favor.
When you got accepted, had you really given it any thought that it was what you wanted to do?
No, I didn't expect it. In fact, have I already told you this story? Are you leading me?
No.
What? So I forgot all about it, right? And we were in Okinawa. This is several months later. We were in Okinawa, and I'd been on mess duty. So I'm sure it's the same in the Army. In the Marine Corps, as a young enlisted guy,
Let's put it this way, you weren't cooking. Yeah.
No, I wasn't cooking. I was peeling potatoes, basically. I was working in the salad room in the chow hall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did my 30 days. I came back. And the day after I came back from mess duty, I got a letter from the Naval Academy, saying that I'd been offered an appointment and or a nomination rather. I still have to go through the process. So I was standing at the the watch station there in the barracks, talking about it with the guy on watch and Naval Academy, and my platoon, the same platoon sergeant, comes walking behind me and he hears me. He's like, "What? You going to the Naval Academy? You gonna be an officer? Get your ass back on mess duty." I said, no, Staff Sergeant, I'm going to the Naval Academy, because I wasn't going to go, you know. Right. I thought it was a big joke, but I didn't want to go back on mess duty, so I took the orders.
Well, okay. So how old were you when you matriculated at the Naval Academy then?
I didn't go straight to the academy. I went to the Naval Academy Prep School, NAPS.
Okay, so you went to NAPS up. All right.
I went to NAPS. Yeah, it's up in Newport, Rhode Island. So I was 20 when I went, and I was the oldest. Is the mental attitude of a prior service person going to one of the academies different than the kid that's coming straight from high school? It's got to be. It is. You know, you might
have had to unlearn some things. You know, they may do some things different.
I had to unlearn some things, and I was slow. about unlearning them. Right. Yeah. So I was one of those jarheads who always had to kind of, you know, prove that I was a jarhead, and I had 1,000 ways of doing it. But yeah, so I was probably just a little bit louder and a little bit. I had a bit more of an attitude than I probably needed to have.
Why did you take the Navy path and become a surface warfare officer instead of going back into the Marine Corps?
Well, 2 reasons: hot food and air conditioning.
There you go. Okay, well,
yeah, they told me they had them on ships. That didn't turn out to work as well as I expected. But no, also I studied engineering at the Naval Academy, and I like big machines. You know, I fell in love with engineering. And I wanted to get onto the ships and really kind of get my sleeves rolled up and do that. So what kind it was different. I wanted to do something different. I really didn't expect to make a long career out of it. So I just wanted to see what there was to be seen.
What kind of ships did you serve on?
A variety. My first ship. Well, now. You wind up on a bunch of different vessels for short periods of time, the midshipman cruises and that kind
orientation
of thing.
and so forth, right?
Yeah, that kind of thing. So I've been aboard a bunch of them, but long term, my first ship was an Oliver Hazard Perry class frigate, so 450 feet long, I think 45 feet at the beam. One of our smaller combatants. Second ship was Uss Independence, CV-62, which was one of our only 2 at the time remaining conventional aircraft carriers. I was the anti-submarine warfare officer on the frigate. I ran the auxiliaries division, sort of air conditioning and dry cleaning and everything that wasn't main propulsion or damage control on the aircraft carrier. And then my third ship was a supply vessel. So it was AOE-1, USS Sacramento, another one of the older ships in the Navy out of Bremerton, Washington. And I was a safety officer aboard her.
Interesting. Yeah. How long did you stay in the Navy? And
then, you know, there's a thing we had to memorize at the Naval Academy. How long have you been in the Navy? You ever heard this one?
No.
I'm
going to learn something today, huh?
Ask me. How long have I been in the Navy?
How long have you been in the Navy?
All my blooming life, sir. My father was a mermaid and my mother was King Neptune. I was born in the crest of a wave and rocked in the cradle of the deep. Seaweed and barnacles are me clothes. The hair on me head is hemp. Every bone in me body's a spar. I'm hard. I am. I is. I are.
Oh my God. Okay. God, I'm glad we don't have any of that kind of stuff in the Army. Well, maybe we do. We probably have some.
Oh, come on. They got that stuff at West Point.
Airborne Rangers and all that other kinds of stuff. They've got this kind of stuff. Yeah. You spent time learning to be a tech and IT guy. Tell us a little bit about that part of your career.
Yeah. So, I mean, to answer your other question, I was commissioned for 5 years. I resigned my commission after my appointment was up, or my obligation.
Right.
Which was 2000 right? You know what was happening then? That was the .com boom, right? So, I was going to get out of the Navy and become an internet millionaire. I got halfway there. I found the internet.
Yeah.
I was one of those. I told you, I fell in love with engineering, right? So, when everybody else was off the ship, carousing, I was, designing neural nets on my laptop, right? It was just, I love that stuff. So, when I got out of the Navy, I wanted to. There's a bunch of tech stuff I wanted to get into. I was really into proprietary trading systems, the AI and finance and all that kind of thing, and so I just sort of made the leap and started doing that stuff. I was woefully unprepared and had no idea that I was. And so, I paid my dues in a big way. I became acquainted with poverty for a while. I had a number of ventures fail under me. There
you go.
But definitely learned some lessons, and it took quite a few years, but I really kind of established myself in software development, in a particular corner of software development to do with big data and big institutional systems. And eventually, I started up a consultancy that built big data management systems for global financial institutions. I've had really an A-list of clients. Bridgewater was a client, Northwestern Mutual, Invesco, number of big institutions. I've built capital systems for them.
I had a professor in business school that, I don't remember much else of what he said, but I remember him saying, it takes 20 years to get 20 years of experience, right? And it's kind of what it takes.
Yeah.
I had another friend of mine who's a lawyer say, it takes about 10 years to become an overnight success. So, you
don't know what you don't know.
That's right.
And if you did, you'd never do it, right?
That's right.
If you knew, if I had known at, how old was I? 29, I think. 30.
How hard it was going to be. Yeah, you wouldn't have tried.
Oh my God. I never would have done that stuff. I had no idea. I thought I was going to be a billionaire in 5 years.
Don't you think that your military experience, though, has helped you persevere through some of this?
Yes, I do. I have to say, a lot of people learn. A lot of people learn a lot of lessons in the military about how to get things done and how to persevere, and it's a laundry list of things, right? And to be honest, I think I learned those lessons in retrospect. Like I think I'm a far better former naval officer than I ever, and more effective than I ever was while I was on active duty. But I think back and I think about who was successful and who wasn't, and how they were successful, and frankly, why I wasn't that much, as a military officer. And it's pretty clear, the practices that lead to success versus the ones that don't. And so, I'm very, very good at figuring out what I should have done 20 years ago.
Right. There you go. Well, you're definitely chasing your passions now. Hey, time's up, man. We've got to wind this thing down. I really appreciate you sharing all of this stuff. We're going to put links to RINGKNOCKER, Tribify. We're going to put a link to your dad's podcast on here.
Definitely.
We're going to, give a shout out to guys like Dennis Volpe and Chris Bug and Scott Mackes and other folks that have been guests on your program, and would really encourage people to join on Thursday evenings. I'll throw an invitation out there. Thursday evenings at 8 o'clock Eastern time. I have no idea. It's probably 8 a.m. in Bali when you're doing it. And But it's just a good time. It's 90 minutes of networking, and you will meet some folks that you haven't met before. And I'd also encourage people to consider sponsorship of the Ring Knocker network, and to tap into some of the tools that Jason, that you've built. Thanks for being on the program.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Bob. I'll see you next Thursday.
Yes. So you've been listening to the Spotlight on the Veteran Crowd Network. We're bringing veterans who are making a difference in our community into your homes every week. Our guest has been Jason Williscroft, Tribify and RINGKNOCKER.net. Jason, I'm going to throw out an Army Bravo Zulu to you for your performance today, folks, and that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to Spotlight by Veteran Crowd. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and uploads, please visit our website at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. We'll see you next time.